What is going on, guys? And welcome to the Fourth and Clutch podcast. My name is Darren. I'm the lone host today. Elise is getting ready for his trip, so he couldn't make it to the episode tonight. So you guys got me for episode 5 all by myself. In this episode, guys, we'll be doing a week 8 recap. Um, I definitely want to get some college football talk in there because a lot happened in college football world with Brian Kelly being fired. That's the talk of the town right now in college football. But I want to go a little more in depth with all the coaching carousel that's happening in college right now. I definitely want to touch on that. We're going to talk about the Thursday night preview. That's probably about it. Those are my 3 topics because it's just me tonight. It's hard to do other ideas if I don't have Elias here with me or someone else here with me. This week, guys, so like I said, episode 5, this one will be being by myself. For the Friday or Saturday episode, whenever that one drops, I should have a guest with me for that for episode 6. But yeah, so it's just me for tonight. I'll be honest with you guys. I just talked for like 20 minutes and I realized I didn't hit record. Off to a hot start. But let's get into it. No fault of my own. I'm just an idiot. But all right. First game on the slate that I'm going to cover here is the Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons. If you're the Falcons, you got to make a change at the OC. You got to fire your current OC. You got to change play calling. You got to do something because there's no way you have this much talent in a Kyle Pitts, in a Bijan Robinson, in a Drake London. I know Drake London was out. They had some injuries to deal with, but the Dolphins are not a good defense. There's no reason why Bijan Robinson shouldn't have had a total of over 150 yards rushing and receiving on his own. Kirk Cousins is a statue. They're in the pocket. They really got to figure out this quarterback position. I know they're heavily invested in Michael Penix at this point because you took him with a top 10 pick. Why you did that when you just picked Kirk Cousins, I don't know. It's kind of coming back to haunt them now. I wasn't very high on Michael Penix coming out the draft personally. I saw him as a late round 2, round 3 pick. Is kind of where I saw Penix going, but it took him top 10. That's kind of to live and die by that right now. If you're the Falcons, if you're the Dolphins, kudos to your defense. Defense played their tail off. Shout out to them. Offense kind of got it going this game. I don't know where the Dolphins go from here, man. I don't know if it's one of those things where Mike McDaniel's holding on for dear life to his job or what they're going to do from here. But big win for the Dolphins. If you're the Falcons, you're letting the division very slip away a lot. I mean, you're already kind of behind the 8 ball in it anyway with how good the Bucs have played this year. But the Falcons, these last 2 games are playing themselves out of their division title or possibly win the division or even the wild card. They're slowly playing themselves out of that, which is not a good sign. Next game up on the docket, I don't got the resident Bears fan here with me, so it's my time to shine, baby. Let's go. Bears and Ravens. If you're the Bears, Ryan Poles, you might need to count your days and start updating that LinkedIn profile, buddy, because you're going to get fired at the end of the year because you are not doing anything to help this team. The D-line is not good. Your secondary has been decimated almost a whole year, and they've made no moves to try to bolster it up and make it at least a somewhat competent secondary. Even if you're going to training for other people's 2s or 3s, it's better than just elevating practice squad guys and relying on practice squad guys because Dennis Allen is one of the better probably DCs in the entire NFL. You're just kind of giving him, the neighborhood kids to kind of coach on defense because that defensive line's getting no pressure. They're banged up at linebacker with Sewell being out as well. Kevin Byard has had a solid year, but he's getting up there in age. He's starting to turn the corner on his career. So the fact that Ryan Poles has done nothing to make a move to help the secondary has been very telling. And we haven't heard much of Ryan Poles this whole year. This O-line still needs some work for sure. They need some beefing up. I would still go get a running back if you're the Bears. Your DeAndre Swift has figured it out. They're figuring it out. I know it didn't look like it this game. They went away from the run game. Why Ben Johnson did that, I don't know. But you do need another running back there. They should have been a player for Tank Bigsby before my Eagles traded for him. That would have been a great move. If I was the Bears, I'd be calling Seattle, calling New York. What's good with Brees Hall? What's good with Kenneth Walker? We know they're on both on expiring contracts. Do we cough up some money and pay these guys and trade away some assets for a half a season rental? Hope they resign. I don't know, but Ryan Poles is definitely counting his days. If you're the Ravens, great job bringing Tyler Huntley back. you're able to run the offense that you typically would run with Lamar. Cooper Rush is probably still one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, but he has not fit the Ravens system, the Ravens offense, and that's why they've been also so out of rhythm lately. So Tyler Huntley's kind of saving their season right now the way he played. They have a big Thursday night coming up against the Dolphins actually this week. I know a lot of people are giving a lot of hate to Caleb. I know me and Elias talked on the phone. I told him I was kind of out on Caleb, but when I watched the All 22 today, Caleb really didn't play that bad. The interception was a very boneheaded play for sure. Other than that, he didn't look horrible. He still needs to fix the mental errors like throwing the ball away, eat the sack, pause, take the sack. Damn, that sounds crazy no matter how you say it, huh? Yeah, I get what I'm trying to say. But anyway, just get rid of the ball, play within the offense, find your rhythm. They're starting to get DJ Moore more involved too in the pass game, which is huge for them. But I do think that DJ Moore still be off this team by the trade deadline. I think he does get traded. I know I saw Buffalo showing some interest in him. If I was the Bears, I'd be trying to do everything I can to get some defense of talent in return if you do move off of DJ Moore. Next game, not much to go over here. The Bills put on the Panthers. Shout out James Cook. Appreciate you, my boy, for the 33 fantasy points. Big dubs there. The next game, the Jets and the Bengals. Very unfortunate game here for the Bengals. Very tough loss for them. This is a game you should have won. You have a chance to still make a run at your division. And with this loss, you kind of played yourself out of it. And that's on the lack of defense that they have. You know, I harp on how bad the Cowboys defense is, and we'll get to them later. Trust me, we will get to the Cowboys defense later. But the Bengals are arguably up there for one of the worst defenses in the NFL, too. I know this was a big game for the Jets and Justin Fields in particular. Woody Johnson calling him out. Woody Johnson, you are one of the worst owners in sports. You cannot talk about your quarterback in public like that. I know he's struggling, but as an owner, you can't talk about players that way because their track record of everyone being better once they leave the Jets, i.e. Sam Darnold, i.e. Aaron Rodgers now. I know Zach Wilson hasn't really seen much of him, but most players do get better when they leave the Jets. And when you talk about your starting quarterback in that way, you are pretty much telling players that don't come sign here because of the way I act. And you can't be doing that when you're a team that's rebuilding and trying to establish something to return to glory, you know. But who knows what Woody Johnson's head at. Justin Fields, great game from you. Revenge tour on your own team. Aaron Glenn, congratulations on your first W. I still think he could be a one and done, but this game could be a catalyst for them to at least be competitive for the rest of the year. I'm not saying they're going to win 5 or 6 games in a row. I'm definitely not saying that. But the Jets could be competitive for the rest of the year and not get blown out in these games. You start to establish that culture and you rebuild trust and you get the team to start to buy in if you're just playing competitively. So big win for the Jets and Aaron Glenn there. Congratulations to you again on your first win. The next game, we got the 49ers at the Houston Texans. Texans defense played out of their minds. CJ Stroud had a great game. Big game for him, bounce back game, no Nico Collins, and he made it work with Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchins, Jaden Higgins, and he really made this offense run and work. Woody Marks had a decent game. Texans still got bolster up that O-line because you have a champ, like I said last week's episode, I said again here, they have a Super Bowl caliber defense and they cannot let it go to waste. You really need to beef up that O-line. Maybe even make another move for another wide receiver too, unless Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins or even Xavier Hutchins begins to develop more. That too. They have a game on Thursday. No, I got my games confused. My bad. But Nico Collins should be back off a concussion protocol. So how that goes coming into next week. For the 49ers, kind of playing with their hands tied behind their back. Defense is hurt. Offense is hurt. CMC got shut down this game. That's kind of why we saw them struggle the way they did. Was CMC was pretty much a non-factor in this game, but huge win for the Texans to get back on track. The next game, not much to talk about here either. We got the Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. Close first quarter, then it kind of spiraled out of control from there. The Patriots finally learned how to use that Travion Henderson. You know, the guy you drafted very high, by the way. Great idea to finally start using him. Good job, guys. But yeah, if you're Kevin Stefanski, count your days. You refuse to go to Shedeur Sanders. I know personally, I've said on this podcast multiple times, I'm not very high on Shedeur. But he can't be worse than Dylan Gabriel, and Kevin Stefanski is kind of coaching himself out of his own job. If you just went to Shador now, you have a chance to save your job. But by you not going to Shador, you'll be an OC somewhere next year because you'll be start updating your LinkedIn, buddy. Just get your LinkedIn ready because you will not be there come the off season. Next up, guys, we got the New York Football Giants at my Philadelphia Eagles. Offense looked good. I know the Giants don't have the best secondary. We looked really good despite not having AJ Brown. Kevin Patullo slowly figuring it out. I went from last week I was about a 90% out on Kevin Patullo. Now I'm at like an 87% out on Kevin Patullo. What he did do good in this game was we got Saquon going early, got the run game really going. Saquon went for over 100, and Tank Bigsby went over for over 100 too. But the biggest thing that Kevin Patullo did right in this game was the freedom he gave Jalen Hurts to check out of plays and really read the offense and read the defense and set us up for success. Eagles fans, I saw some of this online. They say, offense looks the same even without AJ Brown. Guys, it was the Giants secondary. Big win for us. We needed that. But AJ Brown is very imperative to this offense. There's a reason we won a Super Bowl last year, and we've been really good offensively since we had AJ Brown. Let's not trade him. Let's keep him. We just need to get through the bye week, get everyone healthy. I think coming off the bye, the team chemistry will be back to where it was last year. The bye is coming at a perfect time for us because going into a Monday night game against Green Bay the following week after the bye. So this is a perfect time to get everyone healthy and get chemistry and rhythm back. If you're the Giants, Jackson Dart, you're kind of in a tough situation because you lost Cam Scatterboo for a year, which is your boy. Kind of became the heart and soul of the Giants team. They kind of saw the life leave them throughout the game when Scatterboo got hurt. Who knows? The Giants season goes from here without Cam Scatterboo. I think they may win a couple more games, maybe be competitive in some that you might not expect them to be competitive in. But yeah, Giants are probably playing for a top 10 pick. The next game on the docket, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. This game was interesting. I know the score says 23-3, but it's a little closer than people think. The Buccaneers are also going into the bye week, and their bye is coming at a great time. That's a team that really needs to get healthy. They kind of dragged these last 2 weeks, so this team needs to get their rhythm and chemistry back as well. Get Emeka Egbuka fully healthy. Get that O-line healthy. Bucky Irving should hopefully be able to come back, I hope after that. After the bye week. Chris Godwin hopefully can come back as well. Just get healthy. If you're the Bucs, you are pretty much the odds-on favorite to still win your division. If you guys blow winning the division at this point, it's just going to be an all-time collapse. The Saints, benching Spencer Rattler going forward. We saw today, too, that Tyler Shutt will be the starting quarterback going forward for the rest of the season. Me, personally, I don't think Spencer Rattler played bad enough to get justified being benched. But when you're a top 5 or when you're a fourth or fifth round pick and the guy behind you is a second round pick, your leash is a lot shorter than most. The thing that really sucks for Spencer Rattler in this situation, and for Saints fans in general, you got to just see that Spencer Rattler is definitely not the problem at all. It's the ineptness of the talent around the quarterback. Chris Olave, I know he has moments, but he can't stay healthy. Not using Alvin Kamara in your offense at all is insane if you're Kellen Moore, considering you just had Saquon Barkley. Kind of shooting yourself in the foot there. Other than that, this team just really lacks weapons, talent around the quarterback position. Tyler Shutt is probably going to do no better than Spencer Rattler. Even if he does a little better, it's not going to be very telling because I guarantee the Saints maybe win 2 more games max. And that's going to be being generous on the rest of the year. Spencer Rattler will go to the bench. I can see them probably trading him at the end of by the trade deadline, maybe, or even in the offseason. I see Spencer Rattler getting moved. He'll probably go somewhere to go be a bridge guy. I could see him going to Arizona. That's where he's from. If the Cardinals do decide to move off of Kyler Murray, I could see him going there. I could see Spencer Rattler going just to some other team to be maybe even a solid backup. He could be a QB for the Raiders going into next year, honestly, because Geno Smith is kind of playing like butt. So I could definitely see it to where he is going to be. I do think he'll be a starter for some team at some point next year, possibly. But I'm not going to 100% lock that in. That's not a safe bet. It's not safe money. Now, this game I want to talk about. The Dallas Cowboys getting the bricks beat out of them by the Broncos. Started off a little rough for the Broncos. Bo Nix threw a very bad interception. I watched it like over and over. I thought the receiver maybe ran the wrong route. Bo Nix just made a terrible pass. But after that, it was all Broncos. The Cowboys defense again, really lacking. You got absolutely cooked in the run and pass game. Matt Eberflus, you need to update your LinkedIn profile too, because you're gonna get fired. Yeah, great game for the Broncos. You're establishing your first in your division. The Chiefs here in a few weeks to see who has the definitive lead in the division. I do think the Broncos will win the AFC West. I said that coming into the year. I know that could be a hot take, but I do think the Broncos have the better schedule. And I do think they will win the West. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, keep sucking because the East goes to the Eagles, baby. Goes to the Eagles, baby. Back to back. First time in 21 years that our division has a back-to-back division winner. But Cowboys stink. The offense is solid. On the road, they're terrible. Well, not terrible. For road games, they're not as good as they are at home. But this just really shows that how bad the defense is, but on the opposite side of the ball, it also shows that when they run into I know the Broncos are a top 3 defense in the NFL, probably the best defense in the NFL overall. That any team's going to struggle, but even with Pat Surtain being out, you still got the doors blown off. The offense struggled. Dak threw 2 picks. There goes his MVP hopes. I don't even know why his MVP conversation putting up numbers against bad teams. There's neither here or there. Next game, the Indianapolis Indiana Joneses, aka the Indianapolis Colts, beat the bricks out of the Tennessee Titans. Jonathan Taylor, you are probably going to win MVP at this rate. If you keep it up like this, you should be MVP. It's probably between you and Patty Mahomes right now. But you're definitely one Offensive Player of the Year. Colts playing some great ball. Their division is pretty much damn near clinched, barring all-time claps. Titans, good luck in the offseason. Next game, Packers at Steelers. Very close first half. My Packers are Frost propagandas was looking real good in that first half. Then they brought it back. Tucker Kraft is probably a top 5 tight end in the NFL right now, maybe top 3 this season. He's really become the go-to guy for Jordan Love. They built a great chemistry. If I was the Packers, though, you might need to still make a move for another wide receiver one. You don't have that true one. You don't have guys to go make a play other than Tucker Kraft, which is not a bad weapon to have at all by any means. But you do need a wide receiver one. Matthew Golden and Jordan Love just can't get on the same page. So Matthew Golden's not being the receiver that they thought he was going to be. I definitely think this is a team that could be in the market for Chris Olave. I know the Saints said they won't move off him, but for the right price, probably could. Jalen Waddle would be really great here for the Packers. But yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. We own you guys, by the way. You guys are 0 you guys haven't beat us at all, at least recently. So go Birds. Steelers. These are frauds. We've been saying it. You had a chance to take sole custody of your own division, and you kind of blew it with a huge loss to the Steelers or to the Packers. You blew it last week against the Bengals, and you just opened the door for the Ravens to make a run at the division once Lamar gets back. I don't know where Steelers go from here. They definitely need some more wide receiver help. That defense is. I saw today they're not changing the defensive play calling. Mike Tomlin, you got to take over the defense, man. Whether you want to or not, I know you trust your guys. You got to take over the defense. You have the highest paid defensive roster in the NFL, and you guys have looked awful this year. You have TJ Watt, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter. Yes, some of those guys are up in age, but there's no reason why your defense should be this bad with that much talent and that much money invested into it. Final game of the Week 8 recap, guys. We got the Commanders and the Chiefs. Not much to talk about here. Commanders didn't have Jaden Daniels. They're pretty banged up still. Chiefs get it done. They meet the Broncos in 2 weeks, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks, and they'll go to war for the division lead. Patrick Mahomes playing at MVP level again. He had 2 picks last night. One, Kelsey just dropped. The other one was just a great play by Marshawn Lattimore, but a ball he maybe shouldn't have thrown. Or I don't know if he's trying to go back shoulder and Marshawn just read it, or the receiver expected him to go outside and he could go back shoulder. I don't know what happened there, but Chiefs get it done. All right, guys. So going into all right, guys, going into the Thursday night football preview, we got the Ravens at the Dolphins. Um, this game got a little more interesting. Last week when I saw it on the docket, I was like, oh, it's like this game's gonna be cheeks. But now the rumor is that Lamar is coming back this week in this game. If I was the Ravens, roll out there with Huntley, bring Lamar back the following week. It is probably best to not bring your star quarterback back on a short week. Roll it out there with Tyler Huntley. The Dolphins defense isn't that good. I know they kind of caught lightning in the bottle against a very incompetent Falcons offense last week. But this is a very winnable game for the Ravens. If you win this game, at that point, Lamar comes back and you control your own destiny to try to win this division crown. You can still win the North. You can still win the North and really pull it off, and that'd be huge. I got the Ravens in this one. I probably got it along the lines of really as high scoring as we think. It could be a shootout. I know the Ravens got healthy on defense, but it could be a shootout possibly. But I think I'm gonna go Ravens here. I'm feeling Ravens 27-17 Ravens. 27-17 Ravens in this one, guys. Not much to talk about because, like I said, the Ravens kind of control their own destiny if they win this game. The Dolphins, I know you won the game last week against the Falcons, but Mike McDaniel still probably get fired. Tua probably won't be there next year. I'm probably waiting for the Dolphins to probably have a fire sale on their team here in a few weeks. Jaden Phillips, Minka Fitzpatrick, Jalen Waddle, people like that will probably not be on the roster by the end of the year or by the end of the trade deadline. All right, guys. The next topic I wanted to talk about was college football now. I know we haven't talked about much college football. I'm more the college football person than Elias is. I just watch it every Saturday. I'm really invested into it. A lot going on in the college football world right now. Brian Kelly is out at LSU as the head coach. Can't say we didn't see that coming. You got the doors blown off you at Death Valley at night where dreams go to die. Per the fan base says it just happened to be their own dreams, and Brian Kelly's coaching dreams kind of got canned there too. We saw it the whole night on the sideline. He is for those of you that are really good lip readers, and you probably saw on Twitter too, him questioning his coordinators and stuff like that. But keep in mind, it's the game plan he approved. You're the head coach. You approved the game plan for the week, and you badmouth your coordinators on live television to make yourself look better. Try to make yourself look better and look justified. He still got fired. Now LSU is open, guys, as a head coaching destination. That is probably a top 5 coaching destination in college football. So it's up there with the likes of Bama, Texas, and LSU is probably in the top 4 or 5. Ohio State's up there too, of course. But this is a top 5 coaching destination. The question is, where does LSU go from here? And this opens the floodgates because if you're someone like Penn State, you're someone like Florida, the biggest domino to fall will be LSU because that's going to be the job that everyone's going for. I know the rumor mill's already started. Lane Kiffin is probably the number one guy that they probably want to go after. Florida's interested in him. Does he take the LSU job, follow his mentor Nick Saban, and take those steps there at LSU? That is a better program to have. This is a school that will invest everything into the football program that they have to offer. And Lane Kiffin could be a great guy to represent Louisiana and be a great coach for this team. Marcus Freeman's been mentioned. I know I saw today, I believe that he already turned down any rumors to the Penn State job and the LSU job already. I think Marcus Freeman just hasn't made it at Notre Dame. That is a premier coaching destination as well. And I think he wants to establish his roots there and really win a national championship at Notre Dame. You were just in the Natty last year. Like I said, he hasn't made there. Marcus Freeman just seems to be a Notre Dame guy through and through, so I don't really see him leaving. Who else who are the other candidates possibly for this job? The OC from Oregon, I believe his name is Will Stein. Let me double check that. Yeah, Will Stein, the OC over in Oregon, could be a candidate possibly. Could they bring back Coach O? Is that a possibility? I don't think so, though. Just kind of throwing names out there at this point. The one name that I haven't heard anyone mention yet is Joe Brady. I know it's an interesting name to bring up because I know he's probably be in conversation for the Titans job and any other jobs that open up in the NFL. But the reason why Joe Brady is very interesting is because he was the OC for that 2019 LSU team with Joe Burrow, Chase, Jettas, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He was the OC for that team. He knows what it takes to win LSU. He's won at LSU as a coordinator. Could this be a guy who's the OC for the Buffalo Bills now? Could this be a guy where they just make the call and be like, hey, what's it take for you to come back to run this program? Because you've been here before, you won here, you know what it takes to win here, you know the culture, you know the fan base, you can probably recruit your ass off here. We'll give you all the resources you need. Are you willing to come back? I do think Joe Brady is a very hot name in the coaching carousel in the NFL. But like I said, I wouldn't put it past him to go back to his roots at LSU and take the job there. It's a very well possible. I know LSU will probably be making phone calls to Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. Nick Saban seems pretty content at doing game day and life after football. If I see Saban return to the NCAA in any sort of way, I see it being more as a chairman or a commissioner of the football department entirely for the NCAA. Other names to mention for the LSU job, those are only the main ones that had been tossed around. I know the meme of James Franklin has been thrown out there, but I don't see him going there. LSU has a big decision to make, but like I said, they'll be the biggest domino to fall. And then Penn State and Florida will have their pickings of who they want after that. But there's a ton of other jobs that are going to be opening up as well in college football. Florida State, Mike Norvell is probably, I'm surprised he hasn't gone fired yet, actually. They might just give him until the end of the season, but he will definitely be out at Florida State. Hugh Freeze in Auburn will be gone as well. Oklahoma State has an opening. Virginia Tech has a coaching opening. UCLA is open. I know UCLA is probably the least appealing job out of all of them, even less appealing than Virginia Tech is. This would be a crazy coaching carousel. This one would be the craziest coaching carousels we've probably seen in college football history because so many big name and premier jobs are open. Like dream jobs are opening up right now. Florida, Penn State, LSU. These are jobs that coaches dream of like having, So we're really going to see where teams go from here. As far as the Penn State job goes, I could see Will Stein going there. I think he actually be a great fit for that team. I did read in the Penn State subreddit, a lot of people are mentioning Kenny Dillingham over from Arizona State. I know they want to go with the younger guy. The thing is with that is Kenny Dillingham has his dream job. He grew up in Phoenix. He went to ASU, and now he's the head coach at Arizona State. He had a great recruiting class last year. I know they dealt with injuries this year. Sam Levitt going down for a few games, or into the past game, kind of played themselves out of the playoffs with that. Kind of sucks. I do think this would have been a fun thing to watch in the college football playoff, but just due to injuries, they're not probably be back. But I do think Kenny Dillingham is a great coach, and I think he would be great at Penn State. And I honestly think that'd be a great fit for him. But like I said, he has his dream job. Minor, I don't see him leaving. Charles Lee. Is it Charles Lee or Charles Leak? Clark Lee. Jesus, Darren. Clark Lee will probably not leave Vandy either. Kind of his dream job as well. He's doing great there. I don't see him leaving. He has this team up and firing. So I really don't see him leaving this program. I think he hasn't made there. Brent Key is an interesting one too from Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's having a phenomenal year. Haynes King is playing some great ball this year. He could be a big factor, I think, for maybe like the Florida job would be interesting. Because like I said, I think LSU, Penn State, in my opinion, I could be wrong with this, is the more appealing job than Florida right now. I know Florida is probably going to be willing to dump a lot of resources into the position, but this is kind of just my thoughts and opinions as someone that I'm a avid college football fan. Like I do watch it a lot. When it comes to all these, there's so many moving parts of college football, from assistants and all that. It's really hard to say. But I do think that those two positions from LSU and Penn State will be filled, and then Florida third. Florida State gets interesting too, because you fire Mike Norvell. Does Prime want to leave Colorado, go to Florida State? Because When they do move up Mike Norvell, that's probably be the first call is to Prime. That gets very interesting because we know Colorado's not having the best year, but guess what? You got the number one quarterback in the nation last year there at Colorado with you. If you go to Florida State, he's just going to follow you there. And Florida State will give you a lot more NIL money to play with, and it's a lot more appealing job or a lot more appealing place to play than it is Colorado. No disrespect to Colorado Boulder. It's a beautiful state, beautiful city. Just Florida State is more football than Colorado Boulder is, unfortunately. Auburn job also gets interesting because Hugh Freeze is probably out. No idea who takes that job. That's a tough job to take because it's a struggling team in a already hard conference. Kind of playing behind the eight ball. You're playing little brother in your own state to Alabama, playing little brother LSU in a sense in recruiting terms. Georgia probably out recruits you too. You're probably fourth or fifth recruiting wise in your own conference because now you're Texas there too, and you have Oklahoma there. Teams that are probably going to out recruit you too in your own state. So Auburn's kind of little brother. I don't know where Auburn goes, man. They're in a tough spot because there's so many coaches that are out there that they could probably look at. I saw someone say Brian Kelly, guys. Brian Kelly, I don't know if he has a desire to coach after he gets getting fired. The one place I can't see Brian Kelly going, though, ironically, would be UCLA. It'd be a very UCLA hire to make. Would be Brian Kelly because he's the big name. He's gonna be a splash hire, and they're thinking they're taking him with no expectations other than, hey, you come here, it's LA, we'll give you however much money you want, and we just want you to rebuild the program. Can Brian Kelly win a national championship? No, because he can't do it at LSU. He had all the resources. You had Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, Kyron Lacey, Brian Thomas, and you didn't even sniff the college football playoff. What the hell, Brian Kelly? You are a terrible coach. Like, you were checked out the moment you took the job. You didn't want the job. You took a bag is what you took. And it really showed that you weren't invested in LSU football. You're invested in Brian Kelly. So, like I said, UCLA, that could be the hire they go with. Maybe get him for a cheaper rate right now because of his buyout. Maybe get him for a little cheaper rate. Bring him in, try to build your program there at UCLA. Oklahoma State also been in the market, but that's another tough job to take. You're in the Big 12, the bottom feeder of the Big 12 as of right now. Played a little bit of Oklahoma in your own state, and you also have to deal with Texas recruiting in your same pool of talent as well. Another tough job to really take. But guys, there's so many jobs opening up in college football right now. This is going to be one of the craziest off seasons of college football when we get there for the coaching carousel, transfer portal, because all these kids will be transferring everywhere. And there's only one transfer portal window now, guys. You have to remember, there's only one transfer window. So when these teams make their next coaching hire, it's imperative that they get it by the time that window opens so players start making their decision. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to cover college football-wise. I kind of named my candidates for the jobs that I think that are out there. Florida State, those jobs, like I said, they'll come second or third, fourth, fifth after Penn State, LSU. A name I didn't mention in this whole coaching cycle, one name that could be really interesting to watch, guys, would be Matt Patricia, the defense coordinator from Ohio State. He would be a very interesting name to hear. I know he was the best head coach in the NFL. He seems to have figured out the college football game a lot better than he did the NFL game, which is huge. I could see someone making a run at him. I could see Auburn making a run at him, in all honesty. He's a coordinator. They're going to see, hey, you're an NFL guy. You can build a culture here. We'll give you whatever resources you need that's within our parameters, of course, to build a team here. So I can see Matt Patricia being a name in the coaching carousel that I haven't seen anyone really mention. But I could see him taking like an Auburn job, one of those a team that's needing a lot of work. I could see him really going somewhere like that. And another name that we haven't mentioned yet, or that I haven't mentioned yet, that I think his roots are set in Oregon, is Dan Lanning. I could see LSU making a very hard run at Dan Lanning, but if you're Dan Lanning, you have Nike. You have Nike NIL money, dude. Like, he has no reason to leave that job. He really doesn't. Like I said, Will Stein could be a big name and come the coaching cycle. I think he will be a big name, actually. Where will he end up? I don't know, but I do think he will be a head coach at somewhere this next season. Because he's at Florida State, maybe Auburn. Like I said, it just really depends on what those three other big schools really do. Is really what it comes down to. And this week, a lot more hits starting to roll. I think Luke Fickell will be out at Wisconsin probably. That's another job that's going to open up. It's in the Big Ten. It's a story program that does have a lot of appeal. Will Nebraska open up? Does Matt Rule go to Penn State and take the job? If I'm Penn State, honestly, I'm not looking at Matt Rule. I'm looking more at Matt Campbell from Iowa State. And like I said, I'm really looking at Joe Brady, Will Stein for your program. That's where I would look at as Penn State. That's where my eyes are with them. Other schools to be on the lookout for is Texas. Steve Sarkisian has been linked to NFL rumors. I know he shut them down, but we all know how that goes come the offseason when more jobs start to open the NFL. So don't be surprised if you maybe see Sarkisian leave Texas, but I think he hasn't made there. It's a top 5 coaching destination in college football. That's a very hard job to leave unless you get the absolute best job you could possibly get in the NFL. Other than that, guys, I don't really got too much left to talk about. It's just me today. Makes it a lot harder for me. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I try to make it about 30 to 40 minutes. It's probably like a little under 40 minutes, but I tried, guys. Like I said, Thursday, when we record on Thursday, I should have a guest with me. Fingers crossed for that. Should have one there with me. So it should be a little bit longer of an episode for you guys. But other than that, guys, this has been the Fourth and Clutch podcast. Thank you guys for all the love and support. TikTok, YouTube videos have been going up. We are gaining a lot more subscribers than I expected on YouTube as well. So I really appreciate that coming from you guys. And I'll take any feedback I can get from you guys as well. I know this is a solo episode. All feedback is welcome from you guys because I want to be able to get better at my craft when it comes to this whole podcast thing. And I would love to hear any ideas you guys have for me for maybe Thursday's episode. Any topics you guys want me to maybe cover. I know Thursday episode we'll be doing the weeknight predictions, Thursday night recap, and a few other topics I want to go over in that episode, depending on who I have on the show with me. But yeah, guys, feel free to leave comments, leave a like, subscribe, guys. And this has been Darren with the Fourth and Clutch podcast. I am out.